We are here in the vegetable garden and we are planting tomatoes. And the way that we plant tomatoes is a little bit different than just plopping the plant in, and we're going to walk you through how we do this. And I came upon this last year after I planted tomatoes 5 times before they actually took, and then they were good. So from all the experts around me, this is the way we do it. So both Sam and Mackenzie are digging little trenches. So what they're going to do is they're going to dig a trench all the way along. This wooden piece is my mapping out, so I know the spacing that I want for my square foot gardening, and there will be a plant in each of these squares. So we are just digging our trenches. After we dig our trench, we sprinkle in some Epsom salt, plain old Epsom salt you buy in the pharmacy. Nothing exciting there, but that adds extra nutrition and helps with putting roots down. So you sprinkle a little bit along the whole thing, and then you add your tomatoes. Sam is going to demonstrate what we do with the tomatoes. So you take the bottom leaves off the tomatoes so that there's only about 3 or 4 at the top, if you can see that one plant. So we're going to take a few more off of this one. Take these 2 more. These are romas that we're planting, which are indeterminate, so they'll just need staking. And then once we pop them out, they should be watered, well watered, before you plant them. And then what we do is you actually lay the tomato down, and we're going to lay them all down so that all of these little spikes, if you can see them right there, those will all turn into roots. So if you lie them down, all of that will be a good root system, and you'll have a much stronger plant for growing. Once we get them all laid down, I'll show you how we cover them up. We have watered the tomatoes now, so now we're going to plant them. So you make sure that you lie them down, and then you put them so that the 4 or 5 leaves that you have left are pointing up, and then you put the soil all around where the plant is without trying to break the stem, which is always the hardest part. Okay, and then you do a little divot and make sure you push down right around the plant so it's nice and strong, and then you keep going. So the next one, as you can see, there's a whole bunch of roots in there and the head of the plant. And when we water the second time, we will get the plant all cleaned up so that it doesn't have the soil on its leaves. And we just keep doing that. And as you can see, this one was centered right in the middle of where I want the square foot garden spacing to happen. And that's how we do our tomatoes. It's been about 2 weeks since we planted the tomatoes. They have really rooted and they're doing really great now. We've had some cold rain and we've had some frost, but we've got through all that and in some crazy wind. So everything is looking really good now. I've built the tomato structures, and today I am going to show you how we support our tomatoes. These are indeterminate tomatoes, which mean they will grow and grow and grow. They're cherry tomatoes, romas, and there's a heirloom seed of just a mix of, they call it summer festival, and it has just a variety of different types of tomatoes for just eating and slicing. So that's what I'm going to show you today, is what the next step is. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to sucker your tomato. So suckers are when you have your main stem, and then you have your main branches that come off, and then in the middle of that, and this one you can see, there's a little sucker coming off, and you just break it off. Those little suckers won't produce any fruit, but they do produce quite a lot of foliage, which takes away from your fruit. So you want to take those little suckers off, and you need to come back and do them quite often. You can even come back and pinch off these larger branches as your tomato grows up really, really high. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to string up my tomatoes. Now we like to string up tomatoes versus cage them or stake them because I find it's easier on the tomato. It actually holds the weight and the height of the tomato, and it doesn't fall over, and actually it's the easiest to clean up at the end of the season. I find both stakes and cages just a horrific mess to clean up at the end of the season. So what I have done is I have tied this burlap rope around the bottom of the tomato, and what you do is you just gently wrap the tomato around, and then you string it up, and I tie it up to the top bars of my structure. And as the tomato grows, I will come back, take off the suckers, and I will continue to keep wrapping it around the rope. I will also take off any dead leaves or any dead branches or any ones that are really close to the ground. The last thing that we do with the tomatoes after we have suckered them and strung them all up is we go and we mulch them. This is the first year we have used grass, and the idea is that you weed it and then you put as much grass clippings as you possibly can, and you'll top up as the grass kind of breaks down. We have about up to past my knuckles on my fingers, so about that much is how deep it is. So it's about 3 to 4 inches of grass clippings, and that's to help with the weeds. So now all we need to do is maintain the tomatoes, which we will come sucker them, check on them about once a week, come and sucker them, wrap them up the string, and eventually they will reach to the very top of the string, and then we harvest beautiful fruit. Thank you for watching this video on how I plant, support, and maintain our tomatoes. I hope it was helpful for you, and I would love to hear from you. Tell me how you support your tomatoes, what you have found helpful, or if you found this video helpful. I hope you take some time to simply breathe, and I'll catch you on the next one.